Welcome back, everybody, to Zlatan's Fight Picks. Today we're going to recap Kara France versus Albazi that happened last Saturday. We did okay in our picks. We made a couple of flips due to the scales when we saw them in the face-offs. Those were both wrong. Should have stuck with the original picks. But having said that, the original assessment of the fights were correct. And then, unfortunately, I decided to go against those original assessments just because of the way they looked on the scale. Nevertheless, let's start off real quick. The most high probability pick, Malarkey, which I said at minus 450 or minus 400, it said here, but it was actually minus 450 on the betting cards. I wouldn't bet Malarkey, which is what happened. Malarkey ended up, he was winning the fight until he got knocked out. And that's one of the reasons why Malarkey's not a superstar of a performer. And for him to be minus 400, minus 450, or minus 500 is not worth the bet. It's actually worth betting the other guy. As a matter of fact, on one of the parlays I actually had the whole parlay, and I had flipped from Malarkey to the other guy just on a crazy upset, and it basically times the parlay by 3-4 times. Anyways, I did it, but it didn't matter because there was other mistakes in the whole parlay anyway. But it's one of those things is when you have that much of a discrepancy and a fighter's coming in that you don't know, and a fighter that's got the huge odds on him like Malarkey. He's not like some superstar performer. So it was a good call not to bet him, and if anything, to bet the other guy. And this is why when you bet big underdogs against people that are the odds are way too confident on some fighters. And you only have to hit 1 out of every 4 to get your money back. So it's one of the reasons why a lot of bettors will bet for the underdog if the odds are there, just because you don't have to hit very many of them. And as far as like the minus 400, minus 500, man, what do you win? 20%, of the purse. You bet $1 to get $1.20. Like, it's just not worth it. But nevertheless, he lost. It was a good call not to bet on him. So moving on. Santos, second most high confidence picks. Santos dominated the fight. Basically, what's his name? Where am I? I was doing so many of the new cards that I've lost track of the old cards. What's his name? Santos and Munoz. Yeah. Munoz basically, tried to pull guard. I think he just wasn't trying to lose the fight in dramatic fashion. He was getting beat on the feet, on the ground. He had one really good submission attempt, I think maybe 2. But I gotta admit though, like, Santos should have, I don't know, he was just diving into Munoz's guard a little too often for my liking, especially because he has such a big, he was so dominant on the feet. I don't know why he would just keep going back in it. Basically giving Munoz the only opportunity to win, which is by submission. So Munoz did come close a couple times, a couple good attempts anyways. But of course, Santos is really good, and he's pretty confident on the ground as well, and competent. So he managed to get out of those holds. But nevertheless, Santos, easy win. Next fight, Elliott. Elliott, again, it was a really good fight against Altamirano and Elliott. As expected, Elliott just a little too fast, too good at the takedowns, just too much energy, too much movement. Altamirano, tried to keep up. Even when he was on the ground, he got taken down. He kept fighting off his back. I really like the way Altamirano fights. He's entertaining. I got to admit, I really like that guy. I like cheering for him. Elliott as well. So, a couple of good fighters put on a great performance. But Elliott clearly won. He's just a little too much for Altamirano. And Altamirano is a tough guy. Tried to put up a good fight. Did his best. Fought off his back. Kept striking off his back. He never stopped trying, right? So, nevertheless, Elliott, high confidence pick. Quite easy. Miller, we moved him up to a high confidence pick. Well, and in that fight, you saw why. I mean, I think it took him, is it 17 seconds to knock the other guy out? And he knocked him out really bad too. And Miller, still dangerous. He's an OG of the game, but he's still dangerous. There's not going to be very many guys that can beat this guy. He doesn't look like he's not. I don't know if he looks any worse than he did like even 5 years ago. I think he's worse against the competition, but I actually think he's doing about as well. I mean, he doesn't look physically that good, but he's very tough, he's very durable, and he's been keeping it going. So, I think he's going to hit UFC 300 and set a record or something. Nevertheless, high confidence pick, easy. Lacerda. Whoa. That was one of the most disappointing performances. I mean, he just kept going for lead locks and heel hooks, and Blackshear, he had a really good performance, but even before that, I guess Lacerda just gassed out. He just got tired. I mean, he's a pressure fighter. He was putting a lot of pressure on Blackshear. Blackshear was doing really well, fighting back really well. Lacerda's a tough guy. He's got really good kicks. He's a power puncher. He had more power than Blackshear. Blackshear might have had the more volume and being more technical, but the more power was for Lacerda. But by the end of the first round, Lacerda was gassed. It was done. So I guess maybe that's one of the reasons why when he wanted to pull guard and go on the ground and go for leg locks and whatever, it's because he just didn't have the gas tank to keep going. Maybe he just wanted to try finish the fight. It was a little disappointing, and it's hard to gauge Lacerda. I mean, he did so well. Well, I guess he did well against Stamen. Stamen, who was like, one of the ranked opponents. And I think I gave him a little too much credit. And Blackshear's, I think he's very much like a journeyman fighter. He's pretty tough. He's pretty consistent. He's hard to get out of there. He did what he's supposed to do. And good. It's his first win in the UFC. Lacerda, I don't know. I don't know what to expect from this guy next, because he's got some flashes of greatness, and then I don't know if it's a mental issue. He's not making the right decisions. You can't just be on your ground looking for leg locks while somebody's pounding your head in. Nevertheless, I think the first thing was he was not ready for this fight. He definitely wasn't ready because he gassed. He shouldn't have gassed after one round. Nevertheless, that was our mistake right here. That's the one mistake I think that just totally blew me away. It was totally wrong. Caceres. Pineda and Caceres. What a great fight. These are two fighters that I love and I'm looking forward to see fight again. These guys are great. Daniel Pineda, I don't know, man. I think he's getting a contract with the UFC. He should get a contract because every time he fights, I want to watch his fight. I'll tell you that much. He's a great fighter. Caceres, same thing. Great fight. Pineda definitely worked on his cardio, made all 3 rounds. Caceres did win the fight. It was pretty clear, but it was never a blowout. So it was competitive, never a blowout. Pineda, of course, was most dangerous in the first round, and then he tapered off a little bit, but he was still in it, and it was very entertaining. I really liked to watch that fight. Looking forward to watch both these guys. Caceres, well-deserved win. Hopefully he's making a little bit of a run. I think he might be hopefully getting ranked. I don't think he's ranked at the moment. But nevertheless, looking forward to seeing both those guys fight. It was a good pick. Caceres, high probability pick. Next one, Grishin. Oh, you know what? And I said when I first picked it, I really like Philippe Lins. I really like him, and I really like the way he fights. But for some reason, I just thought maybe the gas tank would be an issue. And when I saw him on the scales, he actually looked really good. And where I switched my pick over here, I should have switched it over there because I thought Lins looked really good. Great shape, no body fat, looked tremendous shape. And Grishin, he looked like Shrek, like just big and thick. And I don't think he ever changes the way he looks. I don't think this guy's ever going to look shredded. but he's big and tough. And in that fight, he saw why. I mean, he could take a great punch. He got punched really hard a few times, and he could take these shots. I mean, Grishin's just a big ogre, is what he is. Unfortunately, he was a little too slow for Linz, and Linz was a little too strong in the clinch positions. There was a lot of holding in this fight, and Linz held Grishin against the cage for maybe half the fight. Like, it was just it was a little boring, but Linz did what he had to do to win the fight. Grishin should have done a little more, but he just couldn't get off that fence. But anyways, it was an entertaining fight. It was one of those toss-ups where I wasn't sure. Linz I like. Grishin, thought maybe he had the tools to win a close decision, but the decision went to Linz. So nevertheless, that was wrong. Next one, Kara France. Well, Kara France quite simply won that fight. I don't know why they gave the decision to Albazi. He didn't win the fight. Kara France won the fight, and the strike showed that he won the fight. I think that Kara France won rounds 1, rounds 2, rounds 5 for sure, and 4. I actually thought he won all 4 rounds. And I think the one round that Albazi won was round 3. And I definitely think that with the way the fight went, I don't know. I couldn't see Albazi winning that decision. Even the first 2 rounds. Sometimes some of the judges gave Albazi round 2. I mean, you look at the strikes, the significant strikes. Kara France literally doubled his significant strikes up to that point. Actually, I think he might have doubled them up to round 3 or 4. Actually, no, up to round 2, and then it was the takedown and the groundwork of Albazi that won him round 3. And then, of course, the significant strikes, I think, might have leveled, started going not in Albazi's favor, but it might have lowered it from that double standard where Kara France was keeping up to round 3. Kara France, great takedown defense. Besides round 3 where he got almost submitted and he fought through it. I mean, it was close. Albazi, give him credit. Like, he did manage to get the choke in and sink it in, but Albazi managed to get enough of a defense where he fought through it. But overall, besides that one move, Kara France fought through all the other takedowns or takedown attempts. He did really well. And I was expecting that. I actually thought Kara France has an underrated takedown defense game. So, and I thought Albazi, when he's going to meet a guy with such good defense, he's going to have a bit of a problem. And he did. And besides round 3, Kara France outstruck him. Albazi did have a good fight. I think it was an entertaining fight. I mean, I think that Albazi did have some good strikes, but I mean, he was just outstruck. But nevertheless, they gave him to Albazi. And this is what I was worried about. They're like, well, if they give it to Kara France, then what? Now you're a new superstar up-and-comer. How do you set up a fight with this guy? So if he wins, now you've got fights to make, right? I mean, I could see it. I mean, you don't want to always think that it's a conspiracy theory, but I mean, everyone's got to be thinking about it, right? But having said that, how do you push Albazi to the next level when Kara France almost beat this guy? Or did beat him, and the decision, it's a controversial decision. So that's the level he's at, and Kara France has lost against other people. So, I mean, there's going to be entertaining fights to make. I like Albazi, but now you see where he's at. He's good on the ground, but when you get to this level, the top 5 guys, I mean, they're hard to submit. It's a little trickier than that. And Albazi does have a pretty good stand-up game as well. I guess he could even work on that a little more. He said at the end of the fight he should have been more on the ground, and he got caught up in that brawl. I don't know if he could be more on the ground. I mean, it looked like he was trying to take Kara France down, and Kara France, had good takedown defense. Nevertheless, we picked Kara France. Albazi won. It was the wrong decision. I watched the fight twice. Kara France won that fight. Next fight, Silva. Karina Silva versus Ketlin Souza. Here's the thing. I mean, this Karina Silva is dangerous. She's finished all of her fights, so you really got to worry. But she hasn't. I mean, they gave her somebody who's debuting in the UFC. So, I mean, I don't want to take this great finish away from her. It's just that we've never seen her against somebody really high up there in ranks. But she does look like a killer. I tell you, she looked really good, really confident, really good. I mean, this was a easy fight for her. She took it to the ground, and lots of times I always question how well she is at taking fighters to the ground, and she's had problems with it. But in this fight, she didn't have any problems. But it could be the fighter that she's facing doesn't have a good takedown defense. But nevertheless, really good fighter, great submissions, total finisher. Could hardly wait to see her fight next when they give her a step up in competition. And again, you still have that question because she hasn't really fought anybody really good yet. So, but she's going through this lower end competition like a hot knife through butter. So she's getting through it. Nevertheless, Silva, good pick. Here we go. Reed, Frey. I went Reed. I figured Reed's can pull this off. I saw the weigh-ins. I thought Frey looked really good, really strong. So I said maybe Frey. It was a split decision. It was close. I honestly could have given it to either fighter. It was that close. So either way, I mean, somebody will be disappointed. But if we had stuck with Reed, we would have got the split decision. With Frey, we had lost in a split decision. But nevertheless, Frey was the underdog. He was a better bet out of this toss-up. So we had switched to flip pick. It was a mistake. We should have stuck with Reed. But hey, those are the judges. You know, it could have easily gone to Frey. Honestly, that fight was so close. Just with control time and being on the ground. Although Reed did that more strikes, more damage. So, I mean, yeah, I could see, Reed winning, which is what I was expecting. If Frey had done a little more damage on the ground rather than holding, then Frey would have probably won that fight. Nevertheless, moving on. 50 plus low end, we had a split decision for Nurmagomedov. Well, I mean, again, it could have gone either way. I think that Zaleski showed great takedown defense. Great movement. Gas tank seemed on par. We know he got hit up for USADA or whatever, using some kind of performance enhancing drugs. But I mean, it was a good fight. Close, split decision. I mean, it's one of those fights, right? And I gotta admit, though, Zaleski did look good. Good to see him look good. I really like watching his fight. He's an entertaining fighter. Good fighter to watch. Nurmagomedov, I mean, he's okay. He's okay. I mean, he definitely stung Zaleski right off the bat at the beginning. He had his moments. He took him to the ground. Unfortunately, he couldn't keep him on the ground. So that's why it's at the low end of the scale. I mean, this is a split decision type of fight, right? Nevertheless, moving on. The split decision went against us. Nevertheless, moving on. Arlovsky versus Mays. My theory was Arlovsky getting to the point where he's going to get tagged. That Mays is big enough and strong enough and long enough to hit him with punches that Arlovsky might normally be getting away from with the extra reach. And Mays is a tough guy, and as he showed in that fight, he took all the punches from Arlovsky. He's very durable, and he's not quicker, and Arlovsky is the more technical fighter and quicker. But I had switched my pick just because I think with the height difference, Mays doesn't look 6'6". I thought, man, these guys are really embellishing these figures. I'm just wondering, why are they doing that? So I thought, you know what? Maybe the difference of where I think he has an advantage, which is the height and reach. I mean, granted, the reach, I don't know. It could still be 4-inch advantage for reach, which it looked like it was even when he was fighting. It looked like he could reach Arlovsky when Arlovsky wasn't expecting it. but the height was obviously there. Well, he was obviously not 6'6". So I immediately, when I saw that, I'm like, oh man, now I'm questioning, like, is his reach 4 inches more than Arlovsky's, or is it not? So nevertheless, we flipped it to Arlovsky, and as expected, Arlovsky was winning the fight, and until he got caught, and it was, I think it was a counter right after Arlovsky swung, and I don't think Arlovsky was expecting to get hit because of that reach, and the guy could actually go around Arlovsky's punch and still tag Arlovsky. So, and this is where I thought the danger wasn't the speed, it was the reach. And Arlovsky, when he's thinking he might be far enough away, he's not far enough away because this guy's got long arms. And that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, it could have, and if he didn't tag Arlovsky at that point, Arlovsky could have won a decision. But nevertheless, the first pick was correct. It did happen. Arlovsky did get knocked out. Yeah, maybe next time. Last one, we had 50-50 with Castaneda and Gafurov. It's one of those fights, I said, this can go either way. And it was a close fight. And Castaneda did win that fight. I think he did more. But Gafurov, man, what a machine. This guy just didn't stop coming. He just didn't stop coming. This is entertaining. This guy's a great guy to watch fight. Just wouldn't stop coming. And I was worried about Castaneda's volume. And again, he didn't have a lot of volume. He doesn't generally have a lot of volume. And Gafurov brings a lot of heat. So he comes continually attacking, continually throwing punches. I mean, he's throwing punches. Doesn't matter where he is, he's throwing punches. He's going forwards, he's throwing punches backwards. I don't even think he went backwards. He's throwing punches on the ground, he's throwing punches. Without the point deduction, it was a point deduction in the second round against Gafurov for leading with his head or running into him on purpose. I mean, it didn't look good. I mean, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but it was definitely not fair. And I don't know. When you're charging in with your head, maybe, yeah. I mean, take a point away. And I don't know if Castaneda won that round and it was a dead even round. I can't remember. But yeah, he lost a point and he lost the decision. It was, 29-27. Yeah, so I think Castaneda ended up winning the round. When was it? He won the round. No, lost the round. He got a point, and it was even. So yeah, so it would have been one more point, huh? No, Castaneda still would have won, I think. Right? Anyways, it was a point deduction. Castaneda was winning the fight. He won the fight by a close decision. It was close. It was entertaining. This is why I picked it as a 50-50, because you just did not know what was going to happen. There's a couple moves here and there, and then Gafurov might have won that fight. If he didn't lose that point, it definitely would have been even closer, So, nevertheless, 50-50. I had played both these guys. So, entertaining. Entertaining and disappointing. So, and, I had... and here's what I do is I look at the fights. Before I even look at all the fights, I actually make a parlay just from a blank slate. So just from whoever I know and what they can do and how they can do it, the best of my knowledge, without going into certain fights and observing certain fights, I make my first impression picks. And a lot of times my first impression picks end up being very similar to what I find after I examine all the fights and specific fights to see how well they do. And my first impression picks, because I look back, I make it and I write it down, and then I don't look at it again until I finish my research. My first impression picks, I had actually, and I guess I could say anything really, but I got all right except for Lacerda. So Lacerda was the one fighter I picked that was wrong. Malarkey I didn't pick in my first impression picks because he was actually fighting another fighter who was going to destroy him. So Malarkey wasn't picked. I had picked Linz And actually, this was my 50-50 in my first impression pick. So I picked one parlay with Cara France, one with Albazi. I had picked Reed for my first impression picks. I had picked Zaleski in my first impression picks. I had picked Mays in my first impression picks. And I had picked Castaneda in my first impression picks. So coincidentally, I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes those first impression picks are not as good, but coincidentally in this one they were. So whatever that means, just more information, entertaining thoughts, right? Nevertheless, that's it. We did pretty good. I mean, overall, I mean, just these picks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not that good, actually, 6. Could be better. 6 out of 12? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, 6 out of 3. Are you kidding me? Are we below 50%? Yeah. You know what? If we didn't flip these two picks, we'd be just above 50%. That's still bad, eh? Oh, man, I don't like getting... anytime I get more than 3 wrong, it's just disappointing. Yeah, that's not good. Anyways, we'll work on it next time. I'm almost done my picks for the next fight, which is the big fight in Vancouver for June 10th. I've only got two fights that I'm really looking at now. I've kind of made my decisions on most of them. Nevertheless, I'll have that out tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining me. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.